If you were anywhere near the vicinity of Stanley Park this weekend, it would have been hard to miss the huge U.S. aircraft carrier anchored in English Bay. The USS Constellation is here for a short visit on its way to Washington, but it isn't open for public tours. So VTV's Alan Cohen gives us a look inside.
At nearly 88,000 tons, the USS Constellation is an imposing sight from the water. Once on board, the first stop on our tour is the ship's flight deck.
In about the span of 3 football fields, we launch airplanes, we land airplanes, refuel airplanes, and arm airplanes. Very fast-paced up here.
But for this weekend's Goodwill visit, except for some routine maintenance, the flight deck is quiet. The ship's contingent of planes are back home at their bases in the States. And below decks, you'll find a parking lot?
Cars are down here. It's part of a quality of life issue. We're going up to the shipyard in Bremerton, Washington for 3 months, and so we allow X amount of sailors to bring their cars along with them to get transportation to get around while they're up there, because it's quite a long time away from home. This is the captain's bridge where we drive the ship. It's manned 24 hours a day, 7 days a week when we're out at sea. The captain spends almost his whole time up here. Just want to make sure we don't run aground, hit other ships, make sure the ship's in the right location, and also that we're into the wind when we have to fly, because we need about 25 knots of headwind to launch and recover airplanes. This is our Combat Direction Center. No matter where we go, we track everything. Just make sure we want to be aware of what's out there. Right now we're inside the TV control room, what I think is probably the most important part of the ship, and probably many of the other crew members do. We certainly don't want to go anywhere without TV and without access to sports channels. Wouldn't want to have that happen. And we also do live television shows and control those from in here, and those are conducted in our TV studio in a different space altogether. Right now we're in one of the galleys, and one of these guys like this work extremely hard, putting together about 18,000 meals a day for 5,000 people on board the ship. So they're very busy, make sure the crew has something to eat at least 20 hours in the day. A lot of food.
The Constellation is set to depart tomorrow afternoon around 5 o'clock. In English Bay, Alan Cohen, Vancouver Television.
We want to have one final twist here. We're going to take you to a typical career day at elementary school. Your child's probably had one recently. At the school we attended, we found some budding journalists to help our Alan Cohen tell the rest of the story.
It's 8 a.m. This group of students from Lord Tweedsmuir Elementary is having a news meeting. With guidance from editor Chris Turner, these junior journalists are off to report on their school's career conference.
Today we are at Lord Tweedsmuir Elementary.
Reporter Leah Hood kicks off the story.
We are in a group called Newstowns. VTV has just given us our assignments, and we are going to interview other career groups now.
The team gets the inside scoop on opportunities in the world of cheerleading.
Why do you think people should get involved in cheerleading?
It's really great for your school. If your school doesn't have a lot of spirit, or it really just helps to cheer on sports teams.
2 others investigate the rigors of professional ballet.
How hard is it on your body to be a ballerina?
It's quite difficult if you're not very natural. Some people, their hips are quite tight and they have to stretch every day to release their hips. Because in ballet it's important that you have a turnout.
At the theater workshop, actor Jessica Gare is being interviewed.
How'd you get interested in acting?
Oh, I've been involved in theater and dance since I was a little girl, and it just seemed like a natural progression. It carried on through adolescence and into adulthood, and now it's a very big part of my life, and I like to bring theater and dance to young people and adults everywhere.
You can pass it to me too.
Outside, Cub reporters get the goods on a future in golf from Principal Drew Knox.
What careers can you get from golfing?
There's lots of careers that you can get in golfing. Most people think like touring pros and that, but there's lots of jobs in the clubhouse, in teaching. That's a big industry now, teaching golf.
I recently left the school.
Jillian Ovens helped organize the event.
There's so much out there to expose them to, and some kids never get an opportunity to do some of the stuff that they're doing today.
So whether it's gardening, carpentry, or TV news, the whole school got a head start on one of the biggest decisions of their lives.
From Lord Tweedsmuir Elementary School in New Westminster,
we're the Newshounds from Vancouver Television.
It's Vancouver Day today, but don't be surprised if you didn't know. 112 years ago, a fire burned our city to the ground, but how many people actually know about this historic anniversary? Our videographer Alan Cohen took to the streets this afternoon to find out.
What special day is it in Vancouver's history?
Couldn't tell you.
What if I told you it was Vancouver Day?
I didn't know that.
No idea. I don't know what special day it is today.
It's Vancouver Day.
Really? I didn't know that existed.
But yes, it does exist. Today was Vancouver Day, a day for saluting our great city and commemorating the fire of 1886. That fire killed 21 and left 3,000 homeless. Local historian Chuck Davis led a tour tracing the path of the blaze.
What they had in 1886 was buckets and sand and shovels, and they had a fire engine but no horses to draw it. And so the city was gone in about 45 minutes.
112 years later, Vancouver Fire and Rescue had a chance to show off the new dedicated fire protection water system.
In the event of an earthquake, and that's why this system was designed, today the threat is not burning slash fires like it was in 1886. It's the threat of a major earthquake, and with earthquakes come fires after the quake itself.
So on a day like this, historians like to celebrate a safer city all around, but also remember that fire wasn't the only hazard in the early days of the city.
It's October 1909. The city had just got its first mechanized ambulance, and they took it out for a test drive, and they ran over and killed an American tourist.
In Cole Harbour, Alan Cohen, Vancouver Television.
When it comes to the opinion of others, none seems to matter more to Canadians than that of our cousins south of the border, which is why so many are taking notice of some recent, rather negative reports about Surrey out of Washington State. Videographer Alan Cohen explains.
Since 1992, Dwayne Mitchell has been a photographer and producer of the show To Serve and Protect, which airs on the Bellingham television station KVOS. The show follows members of different RCMP detachments as they work. But one Surrey councillor feels that her municipality is unfairly portrayed by the show, and it's starting to scare away business.
Their first reaction is, oh, we won't go there, there's too much crime. And I say, why do you say that? Because actually Surrey's crime statistics were 37th in the province and have less crime than Vancouver, Burnaby and Richmond. But the perception is there because they said, we watched it on television, we watched To Serve and Protect.
But Mitchell sees the show as a positive for the community.
Overall, the impression of the show is that good guys win. We're out there, I'm showing the RCMP doing their job and going to calls and solving them.
The producers estimate that only about 30% of the shows contain incidents from Surrey, and the program is an excellent tool for the RCMP's community relations.
It's not a bad reflection on Surrey or any community. It's a positive reflection on what's being done in society by the police departments to combat crime.
If this initiative is still creating an image of Surrey as a city of crime, then yes, I think we need to take a strong look at it.
So for now, Surrey Council and the show's producers will have to wait for the results of a police committee report to see if the TV show is bad for Surrey's image. In Surrey, Alan Cohen, Vancouver Television.
Now, in other news today, there is a new way to hear the haunting sounds of whales in the wild without even leaving your living room. Videographer Alan Cohen has that story.
Each year, thousands of locals and tourists drop by the aquarium to watch its killer whale show. Starting tomorrow, fans of the giant mammals can listen to the sounds of killer whales in the wild on their car or portable FM radios.
That's why it was kind of fun working towards getting our license for station CJKW, which is its numbers, 88.5 FM. We had to go through the whole CRTC process, just as if we were opening a new rock station or something like that.
No loud drums or guitars here, just the uninterrupted sound of killer whales live and direct from Robson Bight, an area off the northeastern coast of Vancouver Island.
This is just as it is up in Robson Bight. This transmitter is a small FM transmitter that's housed in a Coast Guard navigation beacon, and this is the underwater microphone that actually picks up the underwater sounds, and it's fed by a cable up through the intertidal zone onto land and rebroadcast there.
It's from there that the signal is sent courtesy of BC Tel by an audio line to the aquarium, where you can listen inside the aquarium or outside on the radio. But don't go too far. You can only get the signal in and around the park. So the next time you're driving through Stanley Park and you can't make it inside to the aquarium, try tuning in Vancouver's newest radio station. You just might like what you hear. At Stanley Park, Alan Cohen, Vancouver Television.
Today on First at 5, the business of BC wine. According to industry watchers, it's generating more interest on foreign shelves. And it's selling better than ever before here at home as the concept of eating local spills over into the idea of drinking local as well. On average, BC wines are known for their delicacy. They're not as rich as a Californian or Chilean label, not too powerful, but they are great with food. And they are now drawing comparisons to New Zealand and German wines. Pretty good company. In a moment, we're going to talk with a leading journalist who makes a living writing about wine. But first, a trip to Langley for a look into the life of a BC winemaker. Here's Alan Cohen.
Claude Violet's family has been making wine for 9 generations, and since 1981, he's been making wine right here in Langley. Claude's secret isn't complicated.
If you have good grapes, you have a good wine.
And over the last 19 years, Claude has seen a big change in the quality of BC wines.
They are good because they change the grapes. They have vinifera, or if you want to, good grapes. And with good grapes, you do good wine.
It's because of that change in quality in the grape itself that has helped so many of BC's wineries become more successful.
Today, a Canadian is not ashamed to sit down in a restaurant in Vancouver or in Hope or in Chilliwack or in Victoria and asking for a nice lunch or dinner and ask for a bottle of BC wine, because BC wine are good.
Another vital part of the business is the wine shop. It's a chance to try a wine before buying and accounts for a large part of the profits.
That's about 40% of our market is here in the store.
And now the rest of the world is discovering BC wines.
For the moment, our Bacchus, we export some Bacchus to Germany because they find that we are producing here a better Bacchus than they do in Germany.
So as more and more people try BC wines and the quality increases, wineries like Claude see a bright future, but there are still some skeptics.
You still have, but I'm going to say a snob who will never buy a BC wine because he say, oh no, I prefer to have a California, or I prefer to have a Bordeaux, etc. I think he should taste some BC wine and he should realize honestly that he wouldn't be disappointed at all.
This crop will be harvested in September, and at this point, Claude is optimistic.
They are looking very, very healthy, very nice. We don't have any mildew or powdery mildew on it, and it's beautiful.
Could be a bumper crop this year?
It's going to be a very good crop.
And a good wine?
If you have a good crop, you have a good wine.
In Langley, Alan Cohen, Vancouver Television.
Ball game. The Provincial Little League Championships took place in Vancouver today. Videographer Alan Cohen now on the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat.
Don't you know what team you're on?
It was a perfect day for baseball. The only need for an umbrella was to shield the sun. For the teams representing Langley and Prince George in this year's BC Little League Championship, it was the biggest game of the year.
They play all year to try and get here. And you've got the cream of the crop here now. So you're going to see some good ball.
In a game like this one, there's plenty of pressure on the players, but even more on the parents. And how does number 11, Jeff Duda's mom, feel when her son plays?
I'm a nervous wreck.
Last year, Jeff played for the Wally All-Star team that went all the way to the Little League World Series in Williamsport, Pennsylvania. This year, he's playing for Langley, and if they win today, they're off to the Canadian Championships in Nova Scotia. And if they win there, it's back to Williamsport for Jeff.
It's an extremely rare opportunity, and very few children all around the world make it to the World Series when you consider you have 14 or 15 children that go once a year to the World Series. And it was phenomenal.
Jeff had a great day playing first base, but not so great at the bat. Langley dominated and won 12-1. And what does Jeff's dad/pitching coach think about the team?
It proves to them that they're for real. We knew it, but it proves to them they're for real.
At Dunbar Park, Alan Cohen, Vancouver Television.